This week we're making Sophie and Katherine's twice cooked octopus with green Romesco and a Jamon crumb. Instead of making the Jamon crumb, we're going to be changing it to a speck crumb because that's more plentiful here and I couldn't find any Jamon at the store. Okay, start off, we're going to cook the octopus. So I've just got a pot of water here. I'm going to bring it up to a boil. And while that's happening, I'm going to add some salt, got a shallot and some smashed garlic cloves and some bay leaves. All the amounts and ingredients are going to be on the website traditionalbutnot.com. So we're just going to bring this up to a boil and then we'll come back. Got my water pretty much at a boil here. Now I've got my octopus here. Now I've already cleaned it and taken the beak out. I'm just going to put that in the water, get it all submerged. Okay, so my octopus here weighs about 660 grams. Now I was talking to the bloke that I bought it from, and he says at this size, I should simmer it for about 45 minutes to an hour. So we'll come back in about 40 minutes, we'll check it for tenderness, and then we'll go from there. To make the crumb, we're just going to put a couple of tablespoons of oil in a pan, and then we'll just let that get a little bit warmer. Now if you're wondering why I have the wooden spoon in the pan like that, it's so my camera will focus. For some reason I was having a hard time focusing on a pan with nothing in it. Then we'll go ahead and add some speck. We'll go ahead and get this all fried up, a little bit crispy, and then we'll come back. Once you got your bacon or your speck all nicely crispied up, you just want to go ahead and remove it from the pan and just leave behind any of the oil and fat that's there. I mean, a little bit comes with, don't be too pedantic about it, but try and leave a majority of it behind. Once you got it all removed, I'm going to add the breadcrumbs. Now I just took my breadcrumb out of a bag and then lightly crushed them up a little bit more because they were still a little bit too big. So we're just going to go ahead and dump all those in, and we'll just give it a little mix around and get it all coated in that oil and that fat, and then we'll just toast these off. Once you got them all toasted off, a little something like that, and dump them in a bowl. Now I had my measurements completely out of whack, so I didn't use all of what was in that pan of those breadcrumbs. Okay, into that, I'm going to add the speck back in, and we'll just give this a little mix together. We'll just set it aside, and they'll be ready for when we plate up. To make the Romesco sauce, you get your hazelnuts, bung them in your blender, put the lid on, and then we're just going to process this till it's nice and chunky. When your consistency is a little bit like that, we'll put that aside. Now into your blender, you're going to add your parsley, garlic, and chili. In the original recipe, they use a jalapeno, but I've got this yellow chili here. It's about a half of one, and that was about this big, and I think that's going to be okay. So we'll bung all that in. I've just roughly chopped everything up just to give the blender a bit of a hand there. Okay, we'll pop the lid back on, and we'll just pulse this a few times, and then we'll add the rest of the ingredients. As you can see, still nice and chunky. So we're going to add back in the nuts, some white wine vinegar, smoked paprika, a little bit of salt, and I got some olive oil here. We'll bung all that in, we'll get the lid back on, and then we're just going to pulse this till it's all nicely combined. Okay, I've just pulsed it a couple of times. I'm just going to give it one little scrape, another little pulse. We're going to taste for seasoning. Go ahead with just a little bit more salt. I'll give that a taste. Now that's perfect. Now I'm going to set this aside, and that'll be ready for when we plate. Okay, so we're going to bake off some tomatoes. So I've just gone ahead and sliced all these little San Marzanos in half. Just going to drizzle them with a little bit of olive oil, and then we'll give them a good sprinkle of salt. Okay, now you're going to put these into a 180 degree preheated oven until they're nicely roasted and just a little bit charred. Once your tomatoes are nicely cooked and got a little bit of char on them just like that, you're just going to put them aside until we're ready to plate. Okay, my octopus has been simmering away for about 45 minutes. Now I just probed it and it still was nice and tender. So I'm just going to remove it from the water, and then we're just going to set it aside there on that rack to cool a little bit, and then we'll get it cut up. Okay, as you see, got my octopus already all cut up. Now I'm just going to drizzle it a little bit of olive oil. It doesn't say this, but I'm also going to add a little bit more salt to it because I tasted it before and it just needs a little bit more seasoning. So we're just going to get all that tossed to combine. Make sure it's all nicely coated in the oil. Alright, I've got my grill preheating out there. And once it's up to temperature, we'll head out there and we'll give these a nice char off. This is the first time I've ever cooked an octopus, and I think I did a pretty good job. I ain't gonna lie, I snacked on a little piece before when I was plating up, and it was pretty tasty. But let's see how everything is all together. Squid, nice roasted tomato, some of this crumb. When I was snacking on the piece of octopus before, it was quite good. When you get every little piece on a fork in one bite, I can definitely understand why this got a 10 out of 10.